Alrighty, we are live from Columbus. O, you make the O, and then you go H, and that's Columbus, Ohio, home of the world champion. It's only America, though, of course. And we have video, audio. I mean, we've got video too. The two work great in concert together. What was I saying? Oh, Ohio State Buckeyes, national champions, world champions, basically, because I don't think there's any other college um, like over throughout the entire world. I don't think there's any other countries that where the colleges play American football, meaning not soccer. We call it soccer. Alrighty. Little out of sorts today, apparently. What do I normally say here? Oh, I say, yeah, I'm not just some guy. I'm Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And you're watching this on youtube.com/coachstevemoney. And for my financial content, just scroll past the Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch playlists, and you'll see the Ramsey Show After Show playlist and the Answering Your Financial Questions playlist as well. And that's this stream. And the music playlist has 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in there. And so listen to those if you are so inclined. Hey, let's get to some questions. I did not have time to update the dates for this coming week. I will endeavor to do that before tomorrow night's Sunday night, the 10th of August at 8 p.m. Eastern. The Answer Your Financial Questions live stream tomorrow night. I will attempt to get all of the, and actually I'll look at my schedule at the end of the stream and I'll just tell you, but the ones in the ticker down below are all old dates. Sorry about that. Hey, let's get into some questions. Portfolio help. This is a Brilliant Gift 8076. Advice needed! Exclamation point. New to investing, I want to see if my train of thinking is logical for my existing portfolio. Okay, well, the Ramsey advice is to not be logical, although I do appreciate some good logic. Instead of using your own logic for something you've never done before, maybe you use the advice of somebody that's been giving financial advice for 30 years, and he has over 20 million documented success stories of people following his advice. So maybe you just try his advice instead of branching out on your own. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of index funds, and we don't do that. Instead, we do managed mutual funds. And the reason is, and I can attest to this because my own managed funds beat the freaking index. Even after you take out the higher expense ratio. It does have a higher expense ratio because it's not based on an index. It's based on what experts think will make more money. And so that tends to work out better. And it definitely does in my case. Yes, you pay a little bit more, not as much as the financial bros would have you believe, but you pay a little bit more in expense ratio than you do on the index funds. But even after you subtract that difference, you will still make more than the index funds if you find the right ones. Now, I'm not saying they will immediately jump into your head off the page, but you can find them. My large cap managed fund that I have, I think maybe it took 5 minutes of looking. I mean, at the most 10, but I did not take that long to find it all. So anyway, but this person is doing a lot of index funds, and probably the wrong idea on investing as well. Because so you see, it has a taxable. You have taxable, and guess what you would not do before you have your house paid off? It says that right in the baby steps, or make it very clear. This says invest 15% of your household income to retirement. I do not see anything anywhere here that says, oh, definitely invest more money into do some like non retirement investing, or just have extra savings. I don't see any extra savings mentioned here either. So you must not be able to do both of those, or the advice is that you don't do either of those until step 7. Until you've paid your freaking house off, you do not debt leverage your mortgage in order to have more investing or more savings. That's dumb. Let's see. So anyway, the index funds, and 10% Roth IRA, 70%, 20%, and 10% Roth IRA. What? FNILA, 100%. I don't understand what's going on. Oh, okay. So this is the taxable brokerage. Let's see. VTI 70%. I don't know what how the percentages were. Okay, so So first, okay, I think I got it, because there's no period right there. I think there should be a period right here, or some kind of delineation, because the Roth IRA is separate from the taxable portion of the investing here. So that's 70, 20, and 10, and that equals 100%. So, and a whole bunch, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head what VX. Yeah, and these are, if it starts with a V, it's a Vanguard fund. And so, and those index funds are no better than Fidelity's index funds or any other brokerage, because they're based on an index that's exactly the same thing. But okay, so that is that. And so then there's a period right there, I guess. And then now we find out what's in the Roth IRA, and that's probably another, 100% into another fund. Let me just make sure. FNILX. FNILX. Just want to make sure. Yeah. Fidelity Zero Large Cap Index Fund. Yeah, so you would not do an index fund. You're doing it wrong. If you're trying to follow Dave Ramsey's advice, and maybe you think you are, just because you think, okay, well, I read the baby steps, but I don't need to know anything else, any of his other advice. I'll just figure it out on my own. And you're saying you're new to investing. So what did you get this from TikTok? Did you come up with it on your own? How did you do this? I think Bitcoin is too big to be denied, but don't want to allocate too much more, if any, to what I already have. The advice is not to invest in virtual currency, so that would be a NAR for Mr. Ramsey. My thinking is that since it's in a taxable, I can always sell if it hits the fan. Again, you should not even be having that unless you're in step 7 and have paid your house off. Otherwise, you are debt leveraging your mortgage in order to have the extra investing. I don't want to incur more risk with it, more liquidity available, etc. And you're leaving money on the table by just doing these index funds. You're leaving money on the table. I don't care if you don't think you are, because of the extra expense ratio in managed mutual funds. It's not true. Retirement accounts, 100% S&P, large cap. Yeah, that's no. no, 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 and no, you're doing it wrong. Until I'm around 55, and then allocating some to bonds, broader market funds. Okay, so say you're 30 now, so you're going to spend 20 to 25 years investing in things that make more money, and then when you get around 50 to 55, you are going to be too scared of the market to do that. And that is fine. You can do that if you would like to, but the bonds and broader market funds, and none of that is advised. Bonds, never. Broader market funds, etc. I haven't thought about these too much since I have some time. Okay, yeah, you absolutely do. But no, the advice is managed mutual fund for retirement and no other investing until you are in step 7, have the house paid off. So that's a no. And those managed mutual funds should be a 4-way split into large cap, mid cap, small cap, and international. It should be managed mutual funds, and the reason you go managed mutual funds is that because that enough of them beat the index to make you just stop run, or should motivate you to, instead of just running to the index funds. And don't get me wrong, if you are one of those people that aren't going to do anything else ever except the S&P 500 index fund, that is certainly better than nothing else. But again, leaving money on the table. And even if you're just doing index funds, the NASDAQ has beaten the S&P 500 as an index for 18 out of the last 20 years. So by just doing the S&P index, you're leaving money on the table. So all you have to do is expand your horizons and just look on the internet. All the information about every mutual fund is on the internet. And so just by looking at all the information, you're teaching yourself more about it. And then maybe you won't be so new to investing and have to follow some financial bros index plan here. But the main takeaway I have here, and that's seldom the main point that I think the poster is trying to OP, the original poster of this thread here, this post. It's called a post. The main point that they want to know if their little breakdown, and they want to share it, they might be excited about their investing, but I would be more exciting about making more money than the index brings in. But what I was saying was the main point I took away of this always, of course, is what they're doing wrong, and that's, of course, having the taxable. I mean, I don't know. He doesn't say what baby step he's in, but I feel like for me, he's probably too young to have a paid off house. And it's because he's doing dumb stuff like investing it. I mean, you could certainly do worse stuff than that. You could just gamble it. But you should not be having extra savings or extra investing while your house still has a payment on it. Once it's paid off and you're in step 7, you can invest 100% of your money. You don't care. You can invest any amount you want. You could have any extra savings above the emergency fund. That's also one of the things. You would not have more than 3 to 6 months of expenses in savings. That is all of the savings that you have, other than there's an exception for sinking funds that are for specific purposes. Vacation, new tires. You got to buy new tires eventually. They do wear out. And so you do have to buy them. So you can't save for those things, but you don't have a general slush fund. I'm going to save this money in case I want to buy something or in case an investment comes up. That's a no on anything less than baby step 7. Emergency fund. This is from Flying Lion. That rhymes. I'm on baby step 3, and I was thinking about keeping my emergency fund in a high yield savings account. A lot of people do that, but I disagree with them on that. I think you need to keep it more liquid than that. And the reason being is because my favorite thing to say, according to Sid, my pal Sid, is that if I could remember it, can't even remember my own catchphrases. What is it? Oh, emergencies do not wait 1 to 3 days for a transfer. That's what it is. And it's even worse, guess what? If the emergency is happening to the person that the only person that knows how to get that money. Say you have a family and the husband knows how to access that money, but has not shared that information with the wife, and the wife is not on the account, some kind of dumb crap like that, that could be a problem as well. If husband is in a coma, then the wife needs to know all of that information. Or you could just have it down at your local bank, not making that much money, but it is readily available for both spouses, no matter what happens to the other spouse. So that's a consideration that I think you should look into. But a lot of people I know, a lot of my friends that do follow Ramsey, they have their emergency funds in high yield savings account because they don't want to get the small local bank amount of interest. They want to get high yield savings account. But if you do that, definitely let your family members know about that exists. And if you're not married, if you're single, then you could have that same issue and need that money for something. But if you're indisposed and can't get it yourself, how is that 1 to 3 day transfer going to happen exactly? Anyway, let's see. Since my main bank doesn't offer one, I'm planning to. Some of them do, and they're not as high yield as like you can get online. I am planning to open one with another bank if there is another bank. Period. My bad. Bad reading today. If there is an emergency, it'll take a few days to transfer the money back to my main account. That is my exact point. How do you work around this? Yeah, how do you work around this? And what I've gotten told to me by people is that, oh, well, certainly you don't have to pay for anything right now. Certainly they will work with you on that. If it's like medical or something, you can work out a payment plan or whatever, or work out something with them and tell them, well, I have to transfer money from my high yield savings account to my regular bank, and then I can pay you. So yeah, that's a good question. How would you work around that? If you need money the same day, what would you do? Yeah, good question. Edit, there is no debit card with the high yield savings account, and there's not with most of them. So that would be the answer. That would be sufficient for me if you have a high yield savings account somewhere and they give you check writing or a debit card that lets you access that money immediately. That would be the answer to that, but most of them don't offer that. So I'm unsure how I would use the funds without transferring to my regular bank. Exactly. And in that case, you would not until you get that money transferred. So that is my exact reasoning behind that. So, but that being said, many people do put it in there, and hopefully, maybe they have a plan. I don't know. Since I don't do that, I don't have a plan to do that. 1U2804, late to the party. So we just bought a house and we still have debt. Well, guess what you should not have done? You should not have bought a house. And let me prove that to you by showing you the baby steps. Step 1, $1,000, start an emergency fund. Okay, probably did that. Step 2, pay off all debt except for the house. So then all the non-mortgage debt using debt snowball. And debt snowball means smallest to largest amount. And then step 3 is save 3 to 6 months of expenses for your full emergency fund. Oh, and then look, it's not actually on here, but then step 3B would be saving the down payment. And you do not do 3B before you finish 3, which you do not do step 3 before you finish 2. So you did it wrong. Congratulations. Maybe didn't know about Dave yet. It's possible. It happens all the time because they do something. People do. They're nutty. They do something nutty like this, do something dumbass with money, and then they worry about it after the fact, and then they Google Mr. Ramsey, or they talk about it, and Google is spying on them and finds that out, and then suddenly all of a sudden up pops an ad for Mr. Ramsey, or one of his shows on the YouTube comes up, and you're like, why did that come up? Let's see. And so we still have debt. So you did it wrong. 35, no kids yet, but we are trying. The trying part, that's great. Knock yourself out. That doesn't mean you needed to buy a house right then. People justify everything all the time because of the kids. People need new cars, new SUVs. Has to be brand new, of course, so the kids are safe. Justification station is where George Ramsey. George Camel. I don't know. You might think of him kind of a son, maybe. George Camel, though. I came to the Ramsey party late. It better have been after you bought that stupid house. That's when it better have been. Because you didn't know. And still, guess what? Sometimes people do non-Ramsey things and like buy a house, and then you find out, oh, I wasn't in a financial place to buy the house. I should have never done that. And just because the bank will loan you the money doesn't mean that you were ready to do that. The bank has no problem loaning you the money to do that because they'll just take the house if you don't pay. They don't care about it. They're not trying to help you out. You hear ads all the time about, lenders talking, oh, we're glad to be part of your, involved with your family in this special time when you get a home. No, they're not. They're glad to get that money out of you. The interest out of you for the loan is what they're glad about. Let's see. I've crunched numbers, and with our home, we could get out of debt. Let's including our mortgage, by 2037. Let's see. It's 2025. That's 12 years. Do you know how much? I mean, okay. So this is including the mortgage. So I don't know how much non-mortgage debt you have, but the non-mortgage debt you have, that portion should only take 3 years. And if it's more than 3 years, that's when you have to sell things like cars and sometimes houses you just stupidly bought. But it doesn't tell us the exact thing here. Let's go ahead and open it up since there's more than just a little bit more than will fit on the main page. We have a lot of student loan debt, which is why you would not have bought a freaking house yet. Of course, finances will increase. Not necessarily. So it will be faster than my estimate. Not necessarily. Because inflation is going to increase as well, dog. I did include the possibility of me staying home with our future children with only my husband income. That would be husband, apostrophe S there. Forgot it. They're free. You don't have to pay extra for the apostrophe or the S. Though I will always work part-time. Didn't include that in the calculation yet. Okay, it's all very cute. But again, you were dumb for buying a house while you still had debt. You are not in a position to do that. I'll be 47 once we are debt free. You don't know that. That's just a calculation. You don't know that. How long did it take most of you? It took just a little bit less than 3 years. Are we going to be able to save for retirement fast enough after that? You're 47. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, to fix the situation, you would sell that house and rent somewhere so you don't have that debt because you were in no place to buy that. Um, should we save for kid college and pay off the student loans a little slower? All right, and see, this is the dumb bull crap that people do, and you're doing this because you bought the freaking house. If you weren't paying so much in housing, you would probably have extra money to get out of debt faster. So you've done this to yourself. We could split some of our margin after we pay off the consumer debt. We will have an extra 2K in margin. Yeah, that's after you pay off the stupid consumer debt. Yeah. That's only after that. That doesn't help anything right now. So I'd have to see exact numbers on what's coming in, what's going out, how much debt you have total, that kind of thing. This is not full of numbers here. Oh, let's just take a look. There's only 22 comments. Let's see if there's any OP stuff here for, there we go. The student loan debt might as well be a mortgage. Yeah. If we attack that student loan debt, we will be done with everything but mortgage in 5 to 7 years. 15% of our, yeah, and so 5 to 7 years for just the student loan debt and other debt. So that's no. So you have a car payment as well. So you have a car and a house, and depending on the income, etc., you might have to, the advice might be to sell both of them and go with the beater car and rent. Husband leases, but we're gonna buy it. See, and stop the lease. Yeah, see. People always think they have to stick with the dumbass stuff they did before they found Mr. Ramsey's advice. Instead of, oh, well, I can just undo the dumb crap I did. But people don't want to do that. They don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to not have a house anymore. They don't want to have a beater car. They want to keep their leased car. They want to keep their financed car. And so they just don't want to do that. See if there's any other dumb crap. Boom, boom, boom. What does that say? Never too late if you stay focused and follow the plan. So encouraging. I wonder if that was, that might have been true. Not, might not have been sarcastic. Excuse me, they're mathematically suboptimal. And that is a nice way of putting it, like I did, that it was dumb as crap. So that is a nice way to do that. Dude, they said, and then you said, this is Reddit for you. You are gonna get dumb people commenting back and forth on stuff and arguing, etc., etc. Yeah. And somehow they got on the endorsed local provider thing, and somebody ended up, the last comment was saying that Mr. Ramsey wants you to learn from the ELP, endorsed local provider. I don't know what for, investing or something else, because you can learn from them. And if you don't know anything about something like investing, that's when you pay a professional to teach you all about it. Or, guess what? Again, all of the information is right here. On anything you want to know. Even if you want to know Dave Ramsey's feelings on something, you can add Dave Ramsey to the search term. And so right here, in between Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal's from The Last of Us, between their heads here, you put a search here. And this is custom wallpaper, of course, but it still will pull from my default search engine, which is the Google, and Google knows all of that, so you don't have to be unknowledgeable about it. How does combining finances work logistically? This should be a good one. Italian blend. I don't know what you don't understand about that. Maybe they'll say. My wife and I would like to combine our accounts. Okay. Let's see what they don't understand. We both have accounts at the same local bank. I am going to bring her to my account. Would she be able to keep her routing number and it just goes into my account now? Okay, so the routing number, if you're at the same bank, you already have the same routing number. And this you could have found out from the Google as well, or just by comparing routing numbers. You have the same exact routing number, just different account numbers there. Let's see, it goes into my account now. It's not going to automatically go into your account, dude. Or would she need to use my routing number? Again, the routing number is not the account number. The routing number is for everybody at that particular bank. And not just that branch, the entire bank. So like, what's one that comes to mind? We have a local bank here, a regional bank actually called Huntington. And so all the Huntington customers have that same routing number. And what's different is the account number is different. So that's why you have to give, for example, employers, if you want direct deposit for your pay, you have to give them the routing number and your account number so that they have both, so that it will go into the right account. The account number, the routing number sends it to the right bank. The account number sends it to the right account. Or would she need to use my routing number? Oh, so nutty, so nutty. What about her debit card? Can it be rerouted to the new account, or would she need a new debit card? How does this generally work? Yeah, you don't understand anything about this, apparently. And that's fine. You could have Googled it. You could have asked somebody at your bank. Is generally what, like, if I were in the same position, I probably would go to the bank and ask them how to do it and do it the same day, have them make those changes. The easiest way probably, and that way you don't have to close out any accounts, would be that you put each spouse put the other person's name on their account, and you can like label one for bills or something like that, one for mortgage or something like that, or just know that in your head. You could do that, or you could close one of the accounts and move all of that money into the account you're leaving open and have both spouses' named on that single account. And same thing for savings, if you would. And so not being able to put that together in your head, I can't relate to that, because that seems so easy to me to think about how it would work logistically. Well, you either put both names on the accounts that you're keeping open, or you close one. And again, you would put both names, make sure you have both names on the account that you leave open. I don't know why you had to go to the Reddit for that, but didn't know. How many? 49 comments, so hopefully somebody knew the right answer. That's an ad. It says promoted. Baby step 7, investment question. I'm glad you asked. Watch your fun. Again, as I said, baby step 7 is where you would start having the extra savings just because you felt like it. Before step 7, you do not do that. Your savings are specifically spelled out in the baby steps, and that would be at first your $1,000 emergency fund. And then once you finish step 3, that would be your full emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then anything extra would be only permitted in sinking funds, like a specific thing for like vacation. If you budget a vacation, because you can certainly do that. Once you're on steps 4, 5, and 6, you can budget a vacation for it, no problem. You should stay gazelle intense until steps 1, 2, and 3 are done. And a lot of people miss, and I can't blame them for it, really. I mean, I don't look at lists like that. I look at lists like step 1, do that step first. Don't look ahead. Don't spend too much time thinking ahead about all this other stuff. No, we have $1,000 to save right now. And then you get that done and you put a check by it. And only then do you move to step 2. And steps 1, 2, and 3 are exactly like that. So you would not be investing until steps 1, 2, and 3 were done, until you paid off all your non-mortgage debt and you had the full emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Steps 4, 5, and 6 are done all at the same time, but in this priority order. So you stretch out the extra money as far as it will go. And that is your snowball amount. Like previously, you were putting every extra cent, all your extra money, into the $1,000 emergency fund, and then to paying off your debt, and then to saving the 3 to 6 months of expenses, all the extra money that you have left over after paying expenses every month. And in the case of step 2, minimums on debt, that kind of thing. But anything extra goes to whatever baby step you're on. And then 4, 5, and 6, as I already said, that's one at a time, but still in this priority order. So you would take that extra amount you have, whatever number that is, and I'm circling it right here like it's a number there. Say you have $1,000 extra a month, and that'd be great. A lot of people would be very happy to have $1,000 extra a month. Probably not that many people do. And so you would stretch that as far as it goes. You would put, and it doesn't say, oh, well, based on the number that I have, I will do a specific amount. And you will, it's spelled out for you, it's 15% into retirement investing. And that's only retirement investing. You're not doing a freaking taxable brokerage like that first poster guy. You're not doing that until you're in step 7, because doing that, again, that means you're putting extra investing and you're debt leveraging your house in order to have the extra. What up, Joy? How is the state up north? It is warm here. Back up, I think it was back up to 90 today here in the OH. And that's not that fine, but it's August, so it should be nearing its end. Maybe step 7, investing question. Let's see, I'm close to maxing out my Roth 401k through my employer. My commissions will not automatically contribute to my 401k. My commissions will not automatically contribute to my 401k. Does anyone recommend opening a Roth IRA in addition to the Roth 401k to capture those funds as well in a Roth? To capture them, to get the tax advantage of a Roth account, which Roth account means you pay the taxes on it just like you do every other dollar in your paycheck. You're also paying taxes on those, but in return for that, you don't pay any taxes when you withdraw the money in retirement. So that would seem to be a good thing in retirement. And so that's why that is advised over just the regular standard 401k, which does the reverse. You are not taxed on the much lower amount of contributions. This is assuming you have more than, once you get up to about 7 years of investing, that's when the contribution amount is significantly lower than the growth amount. And so why would you want to pay taxes on all that growth when you can avoid that? And so that's why the Roth is prioritized over the traditional 401k. You would want to do a Roth 401k if your employer offers it. Not all employees will offer it. So if your employer does not offer the Roth version of the 401k, then that is when you would prioritize the Roth IRA first. And you would max that out first before you would put any money in the 401k. The allocation would be, or the priority order would be, first the match. Now, the match from the employer, even if it's, the dumb way that they do it now, I mean, they could just say what number they give you. But instead, they like to do something like, well, we'll do half of the first 6%. So that means if you put in 6%, then they will put in 3%. And so, but still, you would take that because that's 100% rate of return there. So you would do that. So that's match. That is first priority. Then the second is a Roth account, whether that be a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA. For example, this Roth 401k, if this person doesn't make that much money and would never exceed the 401k amount in the Roth 401k, then there's no need necessarily to open a personal account. It's the Roth IRA. IRA is an individual retirement account, and that's one you open personally, not through your employer. Although I have heard tale of brokerages that run company 401ks, they will offer to do that for you, so you can have it at their brokerage. But the whole idea is that the Roth IRA would also be a better thing, your personal account, because when you open it at a brokerage and you don't opt into just general stuff, you can invest in anything you want to, including the stuff that makes the most money. Whereas a 401k, and I'm seeing it more and more through employers, the employer's plan there only gives you an option of like 18 things at most. And so, and a bunch of those are going to be target date funds, which mean they're not as good as the managed mutual funds. They're dated to a certain target to retire, but they're not aggressive enough. Even if the retirement date is 30 years, if you have 30 years, why wouldn't you be more aggressive? But no, they still have it, a bit of it in bonds and other dumb crap. So it makes less money. But if you have better mutual fund options, by opening a Roth IRA, then that also would be where you prioritize it over your company, your retirement, your 401k. So, because some of those have very limited selections that you can do. Fortunately, mine had a pretty decent one, not as good as my large cap managed mutual fund, and it does have some freaking bonds in it, but the returns are over more than the index anyway. Somebody deleted this. Got too hot. And comments got too hot. Only 37 of them though, but the thread did not get locked. So let's see. Does the plan really work? Yes. Well, I'm not well past baby step 7, but I already know the plan works. It definitely works. I mean, I can't speak to a step 7. I mean, technically, I guess I was in step 7 for a while. I guess I am in step 7 now still. But once when I got divorced, my ex-wife and I sold the house, so no more house. So there's no mortgage for me. I'm renting. And so I wouldn't say I'm past baby step 7. And you don't go past baby step 7. People are nutty. And people ask this kind of thing all the time. What's baby step 8? Well, if there was a baby step 8, it would be on there. Step 7 is build wealth and give, and that's eternal. Also, what's internal is the investing. Even in retirement, if you have enough income coming in, you can still invest some of it. The only time you would not invest during retirement is if you needed that money to live on in retirement. So that one's eternal too. So, but the plan up to that, I do know all that works. And I believe Mr. Ramsey, I don't think he's lying when he says there are 20 million documented success stories of following the baby steps. And where he gets that number is callers and the Financial Peace University documentation. Does the plan? I'd love to hear your stories, peace of mind status, and numbers. Okay, well, numbers ain't none of your business, but the peace of mind, yeah, the peace of mind is great. Not being in debt, even just that part of it is well worth the price of admission, which is zero if you just read the steps and follow them. And you can't learn everything from that. Like I said, there's things about the baby steps that aren't spelled out here in the baby steps list, and so you got to delve a little bit deeper on that, but you can do that by just listening to the podcast or watching it on YouTube or anywhere else, kind of thing. Warm and humid, but don't have to shovel. That'll be here all too soon, Joy. Shoveling snow will be there all too soon for you. Hopefully not down south here. Just a little bit down south, but enough apparently so that the winters are way nicer. Electric Pen 6564 emergency fund. We currently have 3 rental doors. 3 rental doors. You mean rental properties? Would you include monthly rental expenses in the emergency fund, or should those be rolled into the rental reserve fund? What is a rental reserve fund? We have 3 rental doors. Okay. I'll bite. Let's see what this is. See if somebody says what. Say what? I have a separate rental emergency fund, then my own emergency fund, 6 months of expenses. Right. So if you're running a business and you have a rental, yeah, but that's not what they said. They said 3 doors. I mean, does that mean properties? Is that some kind of rental guru, rental, landlord mogul type of thing where they call it doors instead of houses or apartments or whatever? Yeah, the separate rental. So that's a business, and so you would have an emergency fund for a business, and in business they call it retained earnings, but it is still a business emergency fund. I personally keep it separate, business versus not versus pleasure necessarily, but business versus personal. I'm not as familiar with the business philosophy, but I do own rental properties. I would put the rentals into a LLC and keep the funds separate. Yeah, you don't bundle that together. Keep the accounting completely separate in my mind. A 6-month household. Yeah, I mean, some people, I do things in my mind, though the money is commingled. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't even have it in the same account. And I could be one of the persons that do that. Like I've had my full emergency fund. Like while it was $1,000, we just had it in our regular checking account, and my ex-wife and I had no problem delineating between that and the spendable money. So we stuck to the budget with no problem, and that's why again we also just used debit cards. We never actually did the cash envelope thing. Didn't have to in order to stick to the budget. Some people have to in order to stick to the budget. So yes, I mean, I guess 3 rental doors, calling it doors. That's interesting. Never heard of that. And I still don't know. Nobody addressed it, but maybe it's a thing that landlords say. They call them doors instead of different residences, different houses, different property. Rolling returns for any given mutual fund. Can anyone explain how one might obtain rolling average annual returns for a given mutual fund? Okay, as I discussed previously there, like mine's a little bit different here the way I'm showing it to you, but you can go to google.com as well, and that will give you a search box as well that will access the entirety of the Google search engine. But that's exactly what this does. If I type something in this, it goes to my default search engine, which is the Google, and it will pull up anything I ask, and that would have gotten you immediate results instead of you asking somebody elsewhere on the internet instead of just asking Google. So you nutty. I mean, maybe wanted some magic site. I mean, if you want to compare mutual funds, I'll give you something on that. Morningstar is a great website for comparing different mutual funds. Razer X41 X emergency fund replenishment. Okay. So I had to spend my emergency fund on a large emergency, and it wiped it out completely. Alrighty. I was attacking the mortgage with the extra money as it is my last piece of debt. In order to replace the emergency fund, do you stop with the extra mortgage payments till that is back? Yes. Because guess what? I am so glad you asked this. And of course, to some people, it might be easier to understand. I guess to this person, no. So you see right here when you're in baby step 3, that's when you first built up the emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. And then you were doing steps 4, 5, and 6. So theoretically investing, saving for kid college if you have them and if you want to help them, if those things are true, and paying off the house early, which this part, step 6, you were definitely doing. So guess what? When something happens, an emergency, and this step 3 emergency fund is no longer there, guess what step you're in? You are not going to believe this. You are not going to believe this. No, you don't still get to be in 6. You're back in step 3. So that even means you would stop temporarily investing while you save that up, and you should be gazelle intense about that. Get that full emergency fund back, and that means you go back to the way you should have been living, gazelle intense. Again, no eating out, no doing any of that stuff. You can do that again once you get back to steps 4, 5, and 6. But right now you're in step 3. So that is all you are doing. You're not paying extra in the mortgage. You're not putting anything to kid college. Even if you do have kids and do want to help them, you still do not do that at the moment because you are on step 3 again. And that's the way it happens when you go back to a lower step. And you're always on the lowest baby step that applies to you. Some nutty people, and people are nutty, that much is certain, they think that, oh, they see I'm paying off, okay, so I'm paying off my debt, that's step 2, but I'm also investing, so that means I'm at least in step 4, right? No, you're in the lowest one, and you should not be doing investing. Or if they're paying extra on the mortgage and they still have non-mortgage debt, should not be doing that. You do steps 1, 2, and 3 separately from all the others, and only one at a time, those. And you don't do higher steps in that. And so people don't like that because they don't like to lose their baby step once they get to a higher baby step. And I wouldn't either, but if you have an emergency, that has happened to you. Not much you can do about that. That's why they call them emergencies. Or should I decrease the amount to like $200 a month? What is the best course of action? The best course of action is you're on step 3, so none of the rest of it exists. You stop all of it. Stop investing. Stop extra to the mortgage. Stop saving for kid college. Every cent of money extra other than monthly expenses and you can cut as you should have done back on steps 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3 even. you should cut some monthly expenses too that aren't 100% necessary until you get that emergency fund back in place. It is that important. Because what if you had another large emergency right now? You would be screwed over, wouldn't you? Dry anxiety 1068 again. All right. So, as I posted before, that I overthought this journey, but wasn't clear on which step. Yeah, you might have wanted. You didn't overthink it enough to say what step, did you? I realized that I needed to take a step back and reevaluate, which I did. I'm doing this again and will not go this alone. I've started reading his books again. Also, great. Learn it. Know it. Live it. It's from, what is that from? Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Open Gazelle, 1767, like beating my head against a brick wall. I know how you feel, dog. I feel that sometimes reading the stuff from dummies that just don't want to do the Ramsey advice for whatever reason, just because they're nutty, because they're people. Because people are indeed nutty. I probably don't need replies to this. Tough, you're going to get them. That's not part of the deal here. So, you see, when you go on the internet and you post something, there almost always is a place for someone to comment on whatever you posted. That's how the internet works, especially a thing called the Reddit. You're nutty for even thinking that. I probably don't need, I'm just venting. I'm a decades long. Dave Ramsey. You know what you could do? You could just yell into the mirror instead if you don't want to open yourself up to, and this is where you're going to get, you got 23 comments. So, and of course, every comment you get on your post, they're going to email you to let you know that somebody new commented. And that might be why sometimes people delete their account. Anyway, let's see. I'm a decades-long Dave Ramsey follower. I'm financially comfortable. My mom, 84 years. That's up there. When 84 years old I reach. Look as good I will not, I'm sure. However, is another story. She earns a very generous income from real estate and mutual fund investments. A lot of times you can't tell your parents to do anything or that they should do anything. Mr. Ramsey calls it the powdered butt syndrome, and he says anyone that has changed your diapers doesn't want to hear from you about money or sex. Anyway, where was it? Sharon's very generous income from real estate and mutual fund investments. Oh, okay, great. Fortunately, her early stage dementia. Oh, that's not very good. And technological incompetence makes it so she can't figure out how to get into her mutual funds. My sisters and I have to help her transfer money out of them into her checking account when she gets overdrawn. These past few months, she's been wanting to change some of her investments so she can help her grandchildren with grad school tuition and housing down payments at her request. What would Dave do? Flair here. So if you're helping someone, even your mom, and she doesn't like the way you do it, then you can stop helping her. That would be the short version. Let's see. Her request have gotten a better look at her day-to-day spending than I ever have before. Right, she didn't ask you to do that, though. I don't think she asked you to do that. She asked you to get her into her mutual fund so that she could move around mutual funds or whatever to help the grandchildren. Okay, she didn't say, "Oh, while you're helping me, why don't you look at my expenses, my monthly spending, and then open up your trap about that." She didn't say to do that, did she? So don't say at her request I've gotten a better look at her day-to-day spending. That was not her request, I don't think. Her request was to get her into the mutual funds to take care of that specific thing, and you went above and beyond because you're nosy or whatever. And trust me, I think the best thing for her to do would be to cut that spending down and to make her finances better, etc., etc. All that would be, of course, the best thing for her to do, but you need boundaries, kid. Paging Dr. Cloud. Paging Dr. Cloud. Dr. Henry Cloud wrote the book called Boundaries. She spends every single dime that comes in and then some. There's no money to help the grandchildren anymore. Oh, okay. Well, that might be good if you just tell her that. There's no money to replace the aging appliances or take a vacation. Okay. If you've told her that, that's all you can do. I keep trying to explain at her age and income level, her savings are very low, or her savings account is very low. She needs to protect some of the savings investment for her last years. Yeah, she does. So if you told her that, then, and she doesn't want to do it, she's an adult. She gets to do what she wants to do. She's in a no matter how dumbass it is, which I'll agree with you, it is, but it's none of your business. She's in unless she does have dementia and she is a danger to herself. I mean, I don't know that just wanting to overspend. I mean, you'd have to put everybody away. You'd have to put everybody in solitary confinement if wanting to overspend, and actually overspending when you know it's overspending. That's most people. Most people are like that. And see, that's the problem with the Ramsey advice here. Those of us that do it and recommend it, we are the weird ones. She's sonically good physical health, but she does have dementia. So a few years in a nursing home someday is not unlikely. 10,000-ish. Okay, great way to estimate a month from what I've researched. Yeah, they can get up there. She thinks I'm just too conservative, but we met with an estate attorney last year who agreed with me and actually seemed quite shocked at how little she had. She's not at all poor, but she's living on the edge financially. Yeah. And so if she doesn't take your word for it and also doesn't take an estate planner's word for it, there's nothing you can do. You have to wash your hands of the situation. At some point, you say, I've done all I can, unless you want to declare her mentally incompetent. And a judge may not do that. So, and if a judge does that, she might not like you anymore. She may start hating you. Who knows? Her answer, I hardly spend anything. Yep, lying. I can see by your checking account balance that you spend every single dime that comes in, and back and forth and back and forth. Right. Well, see, you are the one that is continuing, not her, because she doesn't have anything to reply to unless you open up your trap. I sat down with some Dave Ramsey budgeting forms and tried to help her fill them in with her bank statements in front of us, but she has an excuse for everything and refuses to understand what I'm saying. Right. There's a point where she's purposefully not addressing reality. She is not doing the thing that I always preach, is you see the reality in front of you and you embrace it instead of denying it or running away from it. An excuse for everything and refuse to understand what I'm saying. That expense is only once a year. Yeah, she lives on Justification Station. Sure. That one's only once per quarter. Yeah, I'm sure I don't spend that much on blank. Yeah. But the number right here says, and at some point you have to give up. It's not helping you out any. She's not going to change unless she wants to change. I tried to explain this was a monthly cash flow plan, but I could multiply it by 3 or 12 to get the quarterly or annual budget. 2. It doesn't matter if you pay for it annually or quarterly or monthly or daily, right? She don't want to hear any of it. She just wants to spend the money she wants to spend. She thinks she's allowed to do that. She thinks she has enough money to do that, apparently. Or doesn't care that she doesn't have enough money. So regardless of the reason, you got to bounce. You got to do a spin move and walk out of the room. And don't worry about it. She will ask you if she needs help about it. And the next time for some help, uh, some of the requirements would be that you have to rein in this spending. You have to do that, or I'm not helping you. I'm not going to be a part of this destruction of your financials. Um, it still comes out of your checking account and needs to be accounted for. Right, that's the reality. And she may not spend lavishly on herself, right, but she does spend lavishly on others. And she can no longer afford to do so. Yeah, she wants to, though. She's debt free, but if her refrigerator, which is old and leaking, I got it. So anything that could happen, I paid to replace her dishwasher a couple months ago. Yeah, you got to stop doing that too. You got to stop bailing her out with your money. Yeah. I've also realized why I'm so conservative with money. The dementia may make getting her to understand basic math a little more difficult, or a lot. It could be, and that could be a big part of why she's refusing to accept the reality of this, or can't grasp it. That is very well true, but in that case, if she can't comprehend simple numbers and a simple thing like this, then maybe you do have a case for getting power of attorney for her. Oh, a little more, but this is how she behaved with money my whole life. Okay, and that's great. I love it when kids rebel against their dumb ass spendy parents. That is the best. Yeah, kids normally rebel by being the opposite of what the parents are, and so that's great if the parents are doing bad things, because then you end up having a pretty decent kid. Had a childhood of hearing her panic every time quarterly or annual taxes were due, or temporary swing loans. That doesn't sound great at all. That doesn't sound great at all. And this person did not want that, and so did not live her life like that. Making you live the stressful childhood days emotionally when you try to help them out. Right, that's when you need to be done. That's why you need to be done. You need to take the step of actually getting power of attorney, saying she's incompetent. And you may want to get a professional's opinion before you pursue that legally, so you don't waste your time and money doing that. Where are we? She's not far enough into dementia where we need to take legal control of her finances. So then, what? So if you don't do that, then she gets to do exactly the same thing that she's doing now, which is dumb as crap. I agree with you, but that's just the way it is. But I'm just a few more arguments away from calling her church and telling them she won't be paying her big gift to the recent building fund, and to ignore any more pledges from her to support any of their charitable funds. Okay, so here's the dealio. If she is not incompetent, if you do not have power of attorney, you don't get a say in that. Quit. You're being dumb now yourself. You need to stop being dumb too. She's being very dumb. You need to stop being dumb yourself, because you are. You can't just call the church and tell them she won't be paying it. You can tell them, though, that she may promise to pay it, but then won't have the money to do it. You can tell them that, but you can't tell them to ignore any more pledges from her. You can't tell them to do that. Yes, mom, tithe your 10%, but 40% tithe plus 30% tax plus 11% plus, yeah. Was this the, I probably don't need any replies to this. I'm just venting. Yeah, just venting. I get it. So, yeah, you need to bounce. And I know that's hard, especially from your mom. It's your mom. You need to, I mean, not bounce away from her totally, but stop trying to do things with her finances. And when she asked you about it, you said, well, you don't want to do anything that will help. So, what would you like me to do, Mom? And then if she said some bull crap, then you need to say that's bull crap, Mom. Oh, let's see. Joyce says, don't have to determine mentally incompetent, but have fiscally incompetent. Yeah, that's true. Can get a financial power of attorney without deeming her completely incompetent. Just saying. Okay, that's good to know, Joy. And actually, I did know that, but I did not make it clear. I just went to the incompetent, mentally incompetent card there, and I apologize for that. Uh, let's see, what is it? One more. Oh my goodness, a longer stream tonight. Hour and 10 minutes so far. Let's do one more. That's an ad. We don't want to do an ad, except for me, which I will do at the end here. I'll give my plugs. Oh, also deleted. People can't handle it. Why post on the subreddit then if you are going to be upset when people post about what you posted? That's what this is. That's basically what the internet is. If you type something on the internet, people can type something about that. That's how it works. I need some sound advice and options. Aging parents reside. Two people reside. One resides in Tacoma, Washington. House value $1 million. Mortgage balance $350,000. No investments in market. No pension. No 401k. $100,000 in cash. Social Security income combined is $2,600 a month. Net side gig $300 to $1,000 a month. Net fluctuates. Should they sell the house and buy a condo with cash and live on rice and beans, or rent and invest the money? And if they don't want to invest, since they never have and they are fearful, just rent and live simply. So for $650,000 that they could get if they sold this house, they could probably they could buy a $300,000 house instead. If they're aging parents, they need one bedroom in the house. So I don't know what real estate prices are in Tacoma, Washington. I know in other areas there, Seattle probably is very expensive. But yeah, so if they sold it, they would net about 600,000 minus the realtor fees and stuff like that. So yeah, 600,000, something like that. And so they could buy a $300,000 house, or as cheap as possible, cheaper than that even, and that would be better than renting. And then they would still have $300,000 to put in the market, and that generates $30,000 a year. So that would be on top of the Social Security. And so it just depends on what their actual numbers are. So I'd have to see a little bit more information here on that. And so, but yeah, if you have $300,000 invested, that will generate the $30,000 a year on average. But with the rest of the money that comes in, Social Security and the side work, if they can live on that, great. And so that's what I would do there. But it would be better to buy a much lower house. And the problem is, aging parents probably don't want to move down in house. They probably like their nice, expensive $1 million house, which is why they bought it in the first place, which they probably should not have. So I mean, because I feel like for me, I mean, even though they have $650,000 in equity in it, I feel like for me that they were probably no spring chickens when they bought the house. So probably should not have bought it anyway. So yeah, sell it and move down in house. Buy a much cheaper house. I'm sorry if that means you have to move away from where you are now, move to a suburb or something, outside of Tacoma. Although again, I don't know, Tacoma would seem like it wouldn't be that high of real estate prices, but you never know. All right, so for the next financial stream, which will be tomorrow night, Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, This are some of the questions that we'll be going into. Ramsey, team member here. Will you help us create a better experience for dealing home service, HVAC, electrical, plumbing? I feel like, for me, that this is a troll or somebody trying to get business for themselves. Because I feel like, for me, why wouldn't they just put this in their own, basically their own forum, which is on the Facebook. It's called the Ramsey Baby Steps Community. And if it's a Dave Ramsey group and it's called anything other than that, it is not run by Ramsey Solutions. But they do have one that's on there. So I feel like, for me, that this is not legit. And there's 45 comments to it. So I'm just going to skip it. Life comes at you fast. Oh, what's that? It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Life comes at you pretty fast. If you don't stop and take a look around, I think. Like, basically, like, stop and smell the flowers. You don't stop and take a look around, you could miss it. Yeah, that's what it is. It's true. The Ramsey Baby Steps debt-free appreciation post. Okay, we'll find out the details on that. I'm being laid off. Okay, if you definitely are, and it's not just a worry you have, if there's more than 51% chance of it, then you're in storm mode, and you would just pile up cash from starting right now. You don't wait until you're actually laid off. And also, guess what? You can start looking for a job right now instead of waiting until you're actually laid off. Independent Cat 1827, what to do with 50K inheritance. Okay, so you see, kids, you remember these baby steps that I was talking about that kind of just spell out the entire plan? It's like, these are the steps. That's why it's called the 7 baby steps. And these are steps that you take to make your finances better. So whichever one of these you are on is where you would apply the money. So if you were in step 2 and you had non-mortgage debt, for example, you would not use it to put all on the house. That's a no. You put it on whatever baby step you're on. And since it's a lot of money, hopefully it takes you through at least a few baby steps. So that means you can pay off all your debt, and also it's enough to not only pay off the debt, but also serve as the rest of it will serve as your full emergency fund. Best case scenario, it takes you from whatever step you're on right now all the way to step 7. But that, it doesn't seem like that's a 50K. It's probably not going to do that, but that's what you do with any extra money. It's not, there's no little person's, your little situation that changes the advice. Everybody wants that to happen, though. Everybody wants to be special and have their little situation change the advice, but it never does. Patient T-Craft, I would love to hear stories about donating and giving back. Alrighty, we'll find out what is going on there, and I'll have a story about that. Insight Discern, and just read something from this person. This person likes to wax philosophical a lot, and it seems like having a trolling temperament, at least in the last post. This probably does not here. And maybe I was overreactive to the last one. Or they could also be bipolar. Who knows? This is the problem with somebody on the internet. You don't know. Bell Biv DeVoe, you don't know. Human Zone, needing motivation to kick me in the butt again. You would think your bad finances would be enough motivation. But anyway, we'll see what's going on with that. And also, work too damn hard to pay off credit card and change my spending habits. Now pressured by credit score company to use credit again. Okay, well, why are you talking to them? 1, and 2, why are you talking to them again? You don't have to talk to the credit score company at all, or hear from them. If they send you mail, you can dispose of it in the round file, shred it, etc., etc., etc. Covered call ETFs. Okay, this is some dumb day trader mentality BS here. We don't do calls on the market. And of course, you would not do index funds anyway, which SPY is. So that's going to be a no for me, dog. Alrighty. I am Coach Steve Money once again, certified Ramsey Solutions financial coach. And if you, yes, you are having money problems, or you just need somebody to tell you you're being a dumbass, I will do that. You can schedule a free financial coaching consultation with me by emailing coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Schedule changes too much to use the website that I used to use because I end up having to change it. 1 week I had to change it every single day. And that email also, coachstevemoney@gmail.com, you can use for asking anything about my channel, anything about financial coaching, anything about finances in general, or whatever's on your mind. Donations can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. Alternatively, the Cash App at $CoachSteveMoney. Alternatively, yet still, a Walmart gift card to coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Upcoming streams, and they are subject to change. And I don't have any of the new ones here, but I'll look at my schedule here and give you a rough estimate. The Ramsey Show After Show. Speaking of subject to change, I did the one Monday, but I could not do the one Thursday. That one was canceled. Answering your financial questions, streams 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think I did both of those. I can't remember. I did at least one of those. And I did yesterday's Fridays, and today's the 8th, Saturday. In addition to that, we would have today's Saturday the 9th of August. There will be one tomorrow night because I'm off. So 8 p.m. August 10th, Sunday. Neither stream on Monday the 11th. Neither stream on Tuesday the 12th either. I'm off Wednesday, so there will be an after show. And that looks like that might be the only after show. Yeah, that's the only after show this coming week is on Wednesday, the August 13th. And let's see, Thursday, August 14th. That's my birthday. And there will be an 8 p.m. birthday stream. Not a birthday stream, but it'll just be on my birthday. I'll be answering your financial questions, just like this one. And no stream on Friday the 15th. Let's see about the 16th. Another 8 p.m. stream. Same with next Sunday, the 17th. And Monday, there will be another after show. So the week of August 16th through the 22nd. There will be an after show Monday. And Thursday or Friday, but probably not both. Okay, so that's the basic deal. And I'll remember to change the ticker and update it. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. And as always, make smart financial decisions every day.